Thus the Vijnana-seed is evolved, and the world comes into view. The ignorant imagine it is born, just like the dim-eyed ones perceive things in the darkness. In the previous verse, we are told that the mind is found bewildered, like a mirage in the springtime. It's caught up in all these visions that are passing by. Now the Vijnana-seed. Before I look at that, let's just have a caveat. Professor Suzuki's translation of the Lankavatara Sutra and also the accompanying volume, Studies in the Lankavatara Sutra, have various sections to do with Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist psychology. And these are massive topics. They are the stuff that scholars like to get their claws hooked into. And the point of this series of videos, the point of Zen, has got nothing to do with psychology or philosophy. The point of these videos, the point of Zen, is to bring us into direct contact with our existential reality, which is the opposite direction of all psychology, all philosophy, and all academia and scholasticism, and all religion. We're looking beyond that. So, does this mean I'm not going to say anything about Buddhist psychology or Buddhist philosophy? Well, that's correct. But there are certain terms that it's worth knowing because they can help point us to our existential reality and beyond. And it's from that context, that perspective, that I will be looking at certain aspects of the Buddhist framework. And this Vijnana is an important one. Now the word Vijnana is made up of the prefix Vi and the word Jnana. Jnana is often translated as knowledge, but it's more than that. In the previous series on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, I described Jnana as the appropriate attitude. Jnana is that understanding which helps us to remain in samadhi, or directs us towards enlightenment. And just by way of interest, the word for wisdom, which is prajna, is when that enlightenment is the basis for our activity, applied samadhi. So anyway, we haven't got jnana here, we've got vijnana. And vi is the same as the English by. I've no doubt it comes from the Sanskrit via Latin. In case you don't know, Sanskrit is an ancestor of the English language. So this prefix by means two. So vijnana is knowledge that is twofold. It's understanding things in terms of two, in terms of duality. It's conventional thinking. It's the world of cognition. It's a consequence of the bewildered mind, the mind that is not aware of its own essential nature. So there's a lot that can be said about Vijnana, and there'll be plenty of opportunity to say more about that later on. But we can understand it as just that which is inclined to see the world in terms of black and white and shades in between, and is compared with the ignorant imagining that the world must have come from somewhere, just as religious people imagine that the world must have started from somewhere. So too do scientists. They seem to have this inclination to believe that the world must have started at a certain point. It's a belief which has got no basis in anything, but it's something they seem to feel they have to pursue. So this is ignorance, imagining that it is born, that it had a starting point. Just like the dim-eyed ones perceive things in the darkness, the classic example being mistaking a rope for a snake. We create our own narrative, we create our own stories, and then we believe in them, just like the sculptor who sculpted the image of a beautiful woman from a block of marble and then fell in love with her. This is our situation. This is the seed of Vijnana evolving